How's it going, everybody? ChaoticMeatball here, and welcome back to the channel. And today, we have a little bit of a different video. I've been working on a few Professor Oak challenges. Currently, I'm working on TCG2. I should have Crystal, hopefully, by the end of the year. Black 2, White 2 are still in the cards. A few other spin-offs, but I wanted to do a few tier lists, specifically for the mainline and the spin-off games, because I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a rough sense in one video about how these games really stack up. So let's just get right down to business here. I was gonna say jump right into the video, but people hate that. God, I can't be a YouTuber, I swear. Anyway, guys, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, 75% of my viewers are not subscribed. So make sure to do that, and yeah, let's talk about Pokemon Red and Blue starting out here. Basically, Red and Blue are some of the easiest games in the series to POC. They take about 50 hours to 55 hours if you know what you're doing, know where the Pokemon are, and are just generally following a guide pretty well to the T, as well as getting good luck with random encounters, such as in Viridian Forest, getting those level 6 Kakunas and Metapods, or doing the gym whiteout strategy like I did in my Red Professor Oak challenge. Playlist all my Professor Oak challenges that we've done down in the description. So I'm going to put these in easy enough. There is no easy Professor Oak challenge except for one exception we will be getting on to later in the video, but easy enough I figured was a good tier. Japanese Blue. This is the only Japanese-only game I included because just about every mainline Pokemon game has come out over here except for Green version, which is the same as English Red and Blue. But Japanese Blue has a few different encounters compared to English Red and Blue, but it's not super different. It's really only about 10 encounters, like Ditto being involved in Mountain Moon and Kangaskhan being changed to a trade instead, and you are able to catch Lickitung and Jinx. It's not really that different. So I'm going to put it in easy enough. Yellow version also goes in easy enough. I completed Yellow version in just a hair over 35 hours. It's even easier than Red and Blue due to the higher levels of random encounters, like how in the Viridian Forest you have Pidgeotto at around level 9. And level 9, that's a pretty good experience for that point in the game, so I'd say that that's pretty much where you want it. Plus, you don't really have to evolve a starter at the beginning. You do get all 3 eventually, but you get them later on, so it's easier to grind. Next up, we have Gold and Silver. Now these, I'm going to put them in Strong Challenge. Strong Challenge because Moonstone before Faulkner. Now this is something that John Stone didn't do in his video because the community decided, oh, this is insane. We've kind of gotten it down to a science to where we can do that within 10 hours of resetting and getting a berry, selling it, and repeating. It's not hard anymore. It's honestly very easy to do, and quite frankly, it's actually not really that big of a deal anymore, but the rest of the game still takes quite a long time. We've only had, I think, runs clocking in lowest around 180 hours or so, according to our leaderboard that we have in the Professor Oak Challenge Discord, also linked in the description. So I'd say yes, strong challenge for those. Crystal version, tedious, but not hard. It has two roamers instead of 3, because Suicune is not a roamer in Crystal version. So that's kind of nice, and there's actually kind of less Pokemon involved, and it's a little easier. You don't have to do Moonstone before Faulkner, which makes it probably definitely one tier lower than a strong challenge, but it's still quite a long one. I think 140, 150 hours is around where we have it, but not very many people have attempted Crystal. So, actually, more people have attempted Crystal than Gold and Silver, surprisingly enough. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on to Generation 3, we have Ruby and Sapphire, and these are going in easy enough. If you've watched either mine or John's Professor Oak challenges on Ruby and Sapphire, you'll know that pickup was an amazing thing because you didn't have to level up Zigzagoon to over level 21 like you do in Emerald and Onward, or any other pickup Pokemon, because they can get rare candies 10% of the time. I think, if I recall correctly, it's 10% of the time at any level. So Ruby and Sapphire just becomes more of a grind of how fast you can get rare candies rather than how fast can you actually grind the Pokemon. So saving rare candies and using them on like the first section and like pseudos and stuff that evolve like level 40, 45, 50 stuff, basically like the fossils or Salamence, Metagross, stuff like that. Very easy, very probably your best bet if you're gonna start with a Professor Oak's challenge, with one exception, which we'll get to later. Anyway, next games, Fire and Leaf Green. These are the first games I did, and I completed them in 71 hours. And looking back, I had no idea what I'm doing, because these are easy enough. Meowth on Route 5 below Cerulean City gets a pickup, which also has the same things as Ruby and Sapphire, where you can get rare candies. It's much later in the game, so it's a bit less useful, but you can also get TMs, berries, and stuff, and it's very, very easy to get. But later on in the run, it's so much easier to use those on Dragonite, and from there's really not much to the run. So the beginning is basically just same as Red and Blue, and then running shoes makes it also go faster. The run, definitely easy enough. Emerald, I'm gonna say this is our first intermediate game. Of course, we have pickup starting at level 21 now, getting rare candies, but with that change, it's almost as easy as Ruby and Sapphire. There's a couple of new Pokemon, and of course there's like Trade and Battle Frontier. You can get Smeargle, and Sudowoodo there too. There's really not that much of a difference, and of course Areas 5 and 6 at the Safari Zone. Not much of a difference, only around 210 Pokemon you can get. Can take you around 80 hours, not that long. Moving on to Gen 4. Diamond and Pearl, I'm going to put tedious but not hard. Mostly because of the honey trees. Getting Combee and getting Munchlax are probably your hardest things. Combee's easy enough because you can soft reset in front of the trees and they'll swap genders, but just because of rolls. That's basically the only hard part about the run. Until the post-game. Post-game does have a lot of Pokemon. It's about double than the original total that you have before the Elite Four and everything, but it's not that hard of a game to POC. I don't remember my time. I think it was around 110 hours. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was easy enough. However, Platinum is going to go a little higher. Platinum has a lot more in terms of roaming legendaries, more Pokemon before the League because the Dex has been expanded to 210 Pokemon. Of course, most of them are evolutions that are trade evolutions and stuff that was already in the Sinnoh Dex from Diamond and Pearl, but not available until the post-game. Kinda stupid, but it's fair enough. Okay, God, I never want to talk about these games again. Heartgold and Soulsilver, funnily enough, are not absolute craziness. They are tedious, but not hard. Now, the only reason that they're in the middle here, it's tedious because you have to wait 100 days for the Safari Zone. Quite frankly, the rest of the run isn't too bad, and in fact is probably on par with Crystal in difficulty. Just the tedium of having to check your game 100 days in a row, make sure that you're leveling up your blocks. That's, for the Safari Zone, that's it. That's the only hard part about the whole run. And quite frankly, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's just having the motivation to continue after you've done that and finish off the game is a little bit of work. Moving onward to Gen 5, Black and White are definitely getting slapped right into Intermediate. They're pretty quick, especially if you get good rare candy luck. Gym Whiteout strategy really works in this one, especially at the lower levels, on your Lillipups when you're training them for pickup. because you can get higher EXP yields for the for being a lower level. So you're getting more EXP than anything in the wild grass. And once you're high enough level anyway, you're basically just trying to fight whichever one you chose, Silent, Cress, or Chili, over and over again until they get to level 21. And from there, once you get all 5 of your Lillipups, or 4 if you're doing a Vital Spirit Lillipup, to level 21, and then training up your starter, Purloin, and Patrat, quite frankly, it's easy. Also, I'm saying quite frankly a lot. So, Part 2, though. Part 2 is a completely different story. It is going in Strong Challenge. Strong Challenge because Hidden Grottos. Stuff like Heracross has less than a 1% chance of appearing in those Hidden Grottos, the first of which are around pre-badge 4. I spent 5 hours looking for Heracross, and that was on speed up, because we were doing this on stream. I do plan on continuing it on stream once I actually have Wi-Fi at my house, but that's a whole different story. But yeah, these games are not that bad otherwise. There's a lot of Pokemon. The EXP scaling system is still there. It is definitely a harder game to do, though, especially in the first section. Because though you have pickup, the amount of Pokemon that are there is nuts, because you have, like, Azurill, Mareep, your starter, Trat, Purloin, Sawaddle, Riolu, you name it. There's a lot of things there. Other than that, it's probably one of the harder POCs. So, moving on more to Generation 6, X and Y. Easy. There's over 420 Pokemon. Make that what you will. But there's really not that much hard with it. I completed mine in around 60 hours-ish. 400 Pokemon in 60 hours is quite a lot. None of the other games have had that many Pokemon as of that point. I think Black and White 2 get close, but they're not quite there. And it takes a lot longer. But X and Y are great starters if you want to try to get a lot of Pokemon, and that's thanks to the Battle Chateau in Pre-Badge 2. Pre-Badge 1 can be a little bit of a grind. In fact, I think Pre-Badge 1 was almost half of my time in the challenge for the video when we did it a couple months back. And yeah, that took a while, but I also learned that EXP is not divided when you switch out Pokemon. So of course you have Dunsparce at level 7 and Farfetch'd at level 7 on the route to the right of Santaloon City. You switch them out, your party gains a total of, well, Dunsparce gives 207 experience at level 7. There is no EXP curve, so multiply that by 6, and you have 1,242 EXP for battle if you're switching in all 6 of your Pokemon. That makes it pretty good for a first section, and then the Battle Chateau, of course, once you just keep cycling trainers, and you eventually get those Autono trainers that are like in the 50s, they can get to the level 50s once you get far enough in. It gets to just be trivial, and the training is just not hard at all. So, other than that, that's pretty much where we are on X and Y. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are going to be tedious, but not hard. This is mostly because of the Mirage spots that are in the game. Mirage spots take a lot of time to spawn. Some people kind of find it iffy if you use Street Pass to get more spots, because you only get one a day, and they're random, and it's kind of a pain in the butt to not have it. It just makes the game far longer. It can be just as long as Heartgold Soulsilver if you do not use Street Pass. I know Street Pass is technically like you're connecting with another game, but it's by the internet. Or not internet, it's not even by the internet, it's just if you happen to pass by somebody with Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire on your 3DS, then you're getting it. It's a little bit, it's intentional if you do it on Citra, the 3DS emulator, but I still think, even with that, it's tedious, but not hard. Moving on to Generation 7, Sun and Moon. I'm gonna say now, these are our first absolute craziness. tiers, and we can also put Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. I'll talk about both pairs right now. Both sets of games have what is called Island Scan Pokemon. These Pokemon are things you have to scan 10 QR codes a day to get, and they only appear on certain days in certain parts of each island. Some of these range from starters from every single region other than Alola. There's 3 sets of starters in each of the 2 pairs, but the first games have Dano from Generation 5, which levels into Hydreigon at level 64. And this is pretty early on. This is like pre-Lana's trial, which is early on the second island. And there's not that many high-level Pokemon to fight. And Gen 7 brings back the EXP curve. It gets bad. Quite frankly, that's why I haven't really uploaded a Gen 7 one yet, because I'm still working through Sun and Moon, slowly but surely. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon is even worse, though, because it has Pokepelago. Both games actually do have Pokepelago, but Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon has Misdreavus. Misdreavus has a 2.7-ish chance, 2.7%-ish chance of coming into your camp and staying, so that you can use it. It's the only way to get it. You can't get it in the wild unless you wait until much later on in the game, but of course, POC rules. You have to catch and evolve every possible Pokemon before each gym leader, or in this case, Island Trial or Kahuna. This makes this challenge so tedious, so much of a pain. I could put this in tedious but not hard, but that's also on top of all of the Island Scan Pokemon and the EXP scaling. The entirety of Gen 7 on Alola is absolute craziness. However, the rest of the Gen 7, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, are easy. Like, I have easy enough, but I literally should have a tier below it saying, able to be speedran. This is because these games have been finished in less than 8 hours in a Professor Oak's challenge. Go check out Etiquette's video of a speedrun of Let's Go. I think he did Pikachu, or Eevee. He did Eevee. He completed the game in 7 hours and 42 minutes in-game time. And this was his second attempt at a POC speedrun. And he did real-time timing as well, which is quite frankly insane. So I'm going to leave that link in the description, but seriously, those games, if I don't even really consider them Professor Oak challenges at this point, because they take so little time to complete. And finally, Generation 8, Sword and Shield, and then Sword and Shield Expansion Pass. Those are, of course, Isle of Armor, Crown Tundra. We tend to separate these two challenges, because some people may buy the DLC separately and not consider that as part of the main challenge, but there's a retail release of Sword and Shield with both without having to download it. So we just said, screw it, we're going to separate these. I'd say the first two, no DLC, tedious but not hard. These games have been completed in less than 60 hours. You know what? I'll throw it down into intermediate. They're not hard. There might be 300 Pokemon before the first badge because of the wild area, but with the help of some of the exploits that we found that aren't really like hurting the integrity of the challenge, it's not that hard to complete. However, the expansion passes, I'm going to make these the third set and final set of games that are absolute craziness. These games take so long to complete. There's nearly 500 Pokemon in the first section, and you have to do the DLC before the first badge. DLC done after the base challenge. These are two separate challenges. You can't do a POC of Isle of Armor. You can't do a POC of Crown Tundra by themselves. You know who I'm talking about. But other than that, the games are not that different. It's just the slew of legendaries and stuff that we're supposed to get in pre-badge 1, and spread out accordingly. Past that, once you get past, you have to do all of Dynamax adventures, essentially, in the first section. And that's a pain. But, there's a few legendaries spread throughout afterwards. So it gets to be quite crazy. It's just but we will get to that when we get to that POC, and I'm looking forward to eventually putting that out. Overall, I definitely think that this is a pretty, good tier list. And if I'm gonna make a prediction, maybe not make this video so dated, when we get the reveal of Gen 4 remakes, which is probably bound to happen next year, I'm gonna say that they're gonna go in Strong Challenge. If there's any resemblance of a wild area incorporated into the Sinnoh region with honey trees, that is definitely going to be there. And if they get DLC, they'll probably end up in absolute craziness, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know it's a little bit different, and it probably seems like filler, but I really wanted to kind of engage with you guys to show you this is kind of how the POC landscape looks as of when I'm recording this, November 2020. So, I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you guys in the next video.